If you're listening, you're probably a bit gun-shy about relationships. Understandable. Every relationship you've ever had ultimately disappeared or disappointed. But what if I told you that you've been preparing your whole life for this moment? What if I told you that you were this close to a relationship breakthrough? Stick around to discover why you've never been closer to lasting love than you are today. My name is Marc, Katz, dating coach for smart, strong, successful women, and your personal trainer for love. Welcome to the Love You podcast. Keep listening to discover how much you've learned and how to take that knowledge to the next level. When we're done, I'll let you know how you could apply to Love You to create a passionate relationship that makes you feel safe, heard, and understood. So, forgive my liberal use of metaphors. I'm a writer, it's what I do. So, in the next X number of minutes, I'm going to explain to you where you are, what you feel like, and where I actually think you are, which is different than when you think you are. And we're going to do this using metaphors. So let's start off with where you are. Your nose is pressed up against the glass, and you're looking through that glass like you're looking at a party that you want to join, but you don't know how to get inside the party, but you are this close to gaining access to this exclusive party where all the couples are laughing and drinking and connecting and having fun. Right now you feel like a little bit of an outsider, right? Because it's transparent. You're really right up against the window. And I know that's a metaphor to describe how you may be feeling in this moment. You can see the fun, you could see the connection, you could see the love and the support and the laughter, but you don't know how to get inside that party. My job is to show you that there's a door right over there. You just don't know about the door. What you feel like, and I've spent a lot of time talking about this with my Love You clients who will work with me for months and say, Evan, I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I mean, I'm learning a lot. It's just frustrating because I haven't found my guy yet. And so that, to me, the metaphor that calls to mind is like being at a gym and being on a treadmill or an elliptical. And you're running fast and you're sweating and your muscles are burning, but you're not actually getting from point A to point B. So it feels like you're going nowhere. But are you actually going nowhere? No, not at all. Right? Someone who's running 5 miles hard on a treadmill is getting just as much exercise as someone who's running 5 miles on the street. But the difference is you don't get from point A to point B, so it feels like you're going nowhere. And sometimes that is how dating feels. But I need to remind my clients that you're not going from point A to B. You're on what feels like a treadmill, but you are building muscle, losing weight, getting your heart rate up, being healthy, releasing pheromones and endorphins, and right. There's great things that come out of this, even if you can't see the tangible results, because everybody sees a tangible result as, where's my husband? As if everything that happens before that is just a big old waste of time. No. You don't get to, again, mixing my metaphors, you don't get to be bikini body ready when you're 30 pounds overweight. That's part of a journey. It doesn't happen one to the next. It doesn't just happen. It is a process. So that's why in Love You, we take 6 months, right? And you may not see that you're losing weight. You may not see the progress you're making, but you're absolutely going somewhere. And again, that's why we break it up into these little modules. Confidence, meeting men, dating, understanding men, relationships, commitment. You can't eat the whole elephant at once. You can't just skip to the end. You can't just walk through that door into the party where everybody's having fun. So I know to clients who work with me, and maybe to you, what's the point of all this? What a waste of time. I'm just swiping and texting and going out with guys I don't like and talking myself into it and hooking up and getting my hopes up and again, I've heard every version of this. So I really want you to look at this through the long lens of progress, like we're progressing towards a weight loss goal, instead of I have a boyfriend slash husband, I don't, and there, as if there's nothing in between the two. You got that? So here's one more metaphor for you, and it's a sports metaphor, so again, it may or may not hit you where I want. But if you know anything about American football, you know there's a 100-yard field, and you know that the football team drives down the field to try to score a touchdown and get into the end zone, and that going from here to here, teams could do it with relative ease. But to get into the end zone is quite an accomplishment. To score a touchdown only happens a few times every game. A touchdown's a big deal. Most of the women who turn to me, who feel like they're on a treadmill going nowhere, are actually making great progress going from one end of the field to the next. And they come to me, you come to me when you're on the 10-yard line and you see the end zone and it's so close you can almost feel the victory celebration, right? But you have no idea how to get into that end zone. And you just need someone to block for you, right? Because the last 10 yards are the hardest. You can learn everything in the world, but finding that person and making that work is the trickiest part of all. So that's what my job and the job of the other women who participate in Love U is, to block and get you into that end zone so you could have your big lifetime celebration. But you're not this far down the field. You're actually all the way here. This is the result of a whole lifetime of knowledge. And I'm going to share with you why I feel that way. And it's easy for me to tell you this story because I've had a chance to process this from the other side, to feel like a success and be able to talk about how I got here. But I'm telling you, you're this close to success that you're going to be able to tell a story just like this soon. Here's a little trip down memory lane for me, and maybe you can gain something out of this trip down memory lane. Because I want you to look at your life in 7-year increments. And I want you to do this like an exercise. You may be listening to me right now. If you're in the car, don't stop and pull over for this. But I really want you to consider, if you have the capacity to write this down or take notes, how this story I'm about to share applies to you. And it could be done anywhere, anytime. You don't have to do it at this second. At the same time, there's no better time to do something than the present. So I want you to think of yourself at age 17 and at age 24. All right? 1 year in high school, 1 year a young adult. And we want to focus on what happened in your life at that period of time, and what challenges you faced, and how you grew, and how you changed, and where were you when you were 17 to where you're 24, how your life is pretty radically different. Here's my life. I was a sheltered high school kid, highly academic when I was 17. Best friends with my parents. Never went anywhere by myself. And then by the time I was 24, I was a struggling writer living in Hollywood, getting his ass kicked at a bunch of low-end menial jobs for no money while I was pursuing my larger dream. I was happy when I was 17 and I was kicking ass in high school. But when I was 24, I wasn't very happy because I was getting to see what life was really like. I was underpaid, I was undervalued, I was unimportant, I was eating ramen noodles. I certainly wasn't in my upper middle class bubble where doing well on tests would get you far. Right? Charming teachers would get you far. And I first realized at age 24 that my best friends from high school and college weren't necessarily going to be my best friends for life. Friends are temporary. So that's me, 17 to 24. What did you learn between 17 and 24? Take a minute. It took me a minute to write that down. Take a minute to write your answer down. Now let's jump another 7 years, 24 to 31. For me, this was an entire lifetime, how much I grew in those 7 years. My father died when I was 26. That grows you up fast. I wrote a dozen screenplays, 15 sitcoms. I had agents and managers. I won contests. And after all that, I fell short of my dream of being a screenwriter. I gave up entirely, started my life over. I went to grad school, and realized that my pursuit of this singular dream, the thing that I thought I wanted more than anything, wasn't actually making me happy. I took a job at JDate, answering phones, getting yelled at by strangers, getting fired multiple times. And I wrote a book about my experience and what I learned about online dating. And while I was doing all this career stuff, I was learning what it was like to date. I became a bit of a player, dating on attraction and the power of words, right? To fill up the loneliness gap of being in Los Angeles, feeling disconnected from my friends, losing my father. No idea what I was doing wrong, but gaining a lot of experience in the process. So that was my 7 years, 24 to 31. What happened in your 7 years from 24 to 31? Take a moment, write it down. It's worth your time. Now 31 to 38. This is another lifetime for me. And this is what's so radical about this is you break up your life in 7-year chunks and you look back and it's astonishing how far you've come, which shows you how far you still have to go. So it's another lifetime. Age 31, I start eCyrena, writing people's online dating profiles. I become a dating coach, world's first dating coach. I get on TV a few times, start making a little money, got my own place instead of living with a roommate. Fell in love twice with women I was crazy about who dumped me hard. And started to recognize the cognitive dissonance between the advice I was giving and the advice I was living. And I started to listen and try to square what I was telling women to do and how they should go about dating with what I was doing. My mid-30s were great. I got a chance to look and correct all the things that I did wrong in my 20s and early 30s and put them together and learn from that experience, not instantly, but over time, and make better decisions. How did your life change in your 30s from 31 to 38? Now, I know some of you, this hasn't even happened yet because you're younger, and I know some of you are older and you're like, why are we going back that far? That's fine. This is an exercise. Now there's 38 to 45. But in that time, 7 years, I had 2 kids. I hired a tech team that helped me quintuple my business. I developed a deeper passion and expertise for helping smart, strong, successful women understand men and find love. I created and launched Love You, took 12,000 women through the course, and suffered from all the growing pains of trying to run a business when I'm not a tech person or a project manager or have a business background. I'm just a screenwriter. Right? And therefore, I hired 3 business coaches, all of whom cost me between $15,000 and $25,000 to teach me what I was doing wrong and how I could do this better. And not to suggest that this is the last thing on the list, but I became a better husband from the act of being a husband and from coaching, and a better father as well. And now there's where I am right now, between 45 and 52. I'm 48. I'm in the middle of it. And I swear, I've never been happier. I've never been more at peace. Never been more content with my wife, kids who are 8 and 9. Business has never been more satisfying in my ability to tangibly help women. I've learned to refine what I learned before. I've learned to let go of old friendships that weren't serving me well. I'm learning to be more kind, more patient with my wife, kids, people who work with me. I've learned to lead with more positive energy and less negative energy and complaining. From the time that I was young, grew up in a culture that was a lot of negative energy and complaining. So experience has made me feel more confident, more secure, and has led me to, so far, the pinnacle of where I've been in my life. And I hope it's getting better. I don't assume this is it. So if you're in your late 40s or early 50s, what did you learn between 45 and 52? Right. And I really want to bring this back to you. I know I'm going on a story about myself, but the reason is I want you to recognize there's no substitute for life experience and education. It's investing in yourself. It's looking in the mirror. It's learning from your mistakes so you don't continue to repeat them. If you're still making the same dating choices that you did when you were in your mid-20s, It's not getting more experience dating the same emotionally unavailable guy again, expecting a different result. It's learning and pivoting off of that. Because that's the pivoting is what makes you successful instead of doubling down on a mistake. I'm a pivoter. My dream was to have both of my parents as my best friends forever, have my dad walk me down the aisle at my marriage. That didn't work out. My dream was to become a Judd Apatow-like Hollywood screenwriter who made 14-year-old boys laugh. That didn't work out. My dream was to marry someone just like me, but without my flaws. That didn't work out. My dream was to become the biggest name in dating and relationship coaching. That didn't work out. In each situation, I adjusted through trial and error and failure, and I recalibrated what I was doing so I can continue to enjoy my life and make a difference without beating myself up too much, still aiming high, still pushing to achieve, even if things didn't go according to plans, because life never really goes according to plans. Sometimes, like with my wife and career, my plans, my dreams, my fantasies were actually the problem that was holding me back. And the solution was looking outside the box when things weren't working, changing careers, changing my choice in partner to get happy. So what plans of yours are not working? What are you doing actively outside the box to make them work or to try to get happy, to do something different? I'm not kidding when I tell you that you've never been closer to lasting love than you are today. Your whole life experience has led you here. You've never been wiser, more experienced, or more tired of making mistakes than you are right this second. The question is whether you're going to invest in your happiness or continue down the same path that you've been on for the past 10 or 20 or 30 years without success. The choice is yours to make. But I know you can do this. It's up to you. My name is Marc Katz. Thank you for subscribing to the Love You Podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button, ring the bell, choose all to ensure that you get notifications of all my new content. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple. More reviews equals more awareness of the Love You Podcast and more love in the world. And if you want to find love right now and are committed to making healthier choices with men so you could have an easy relationship that makes you feel safe, heard, and understood, look for the link below and apply for coaching with me in Love You. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.